Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a super simple but really powerful statistical tool that you probably use every single day without even knowing it. We're talking about the mode. So, let's dive in.
Just imagine this for a second. You're about to open a t-shirt shop. How in the world do you decide which sizes to order the most of? You've got to figure out what's most popular, right? I mean, you wouldn't just calculate the average t-shirt size. That would be useless. You need to find the one that people want the most. And that, right there, is exactly what the mode is all about.
So how do we actually find what's popular in a set of data? Well, the mode is part of a whole family of tools that statisticians use to find the center, or, the most typical thing happening in a group of numbers.
So you're probably looking at the three main players here. You've definitely heard of the mean. That's just your classic average. And you've probably run into the median, which is the number smack dab in the middle. But today, the star of our show is the mode, the one that's all about finding what's most common.
And really, that's the whole idea behind it. The mode is simply the value that shows up more often than anything else in a list. It's literally that simple. It's the most popular kid in class.
All right, enough with the theory. How do you actually spot this thing in the wild? Let's walk through a super clear example.
Okay, so here's a list of monthly salaries. To find the mode, all we have to do is just scan the list, right? We're just looking for the number that pops up the most. We see 11K a couple of times, 21K, 22K, but there's one number that shows up even more than that.
And boom, there it is, 15K. It appears 3 times, which is more than any other salary on the list. So, for this particular set of data, 15K is our node. See? Easy as that.
But what happens when things aren't quite so neat and tidy? What if there's a tie for the most popular value? This kind of thing happens all the time when you're looking at real-world data. So what do? Does it mean the mode is just gone? Nope, not at all. It just means we need a couple of special names for it.
So if you've got 2 values tied for first place as the most frequent, we just call that data set bimodal, bi for 2. And if you have 3 or more values all tied for the top spot, we call it multimodal, multi for many.
Okay, check out this frequency table. It's a perfect example of a bimodal set. You can see it right there in bold. Both 15K and 19K appear 3 times. Since 3 is the highest frequency we see, this data set has 2 modes, 15K and 19K.
Okay, so what about one last scenario? What if nothing repeats? I mean, if every single value only shows up once, then nothing is the most frequent, right? In that case, we just say the mode doesn't exist.
All right, so we know what the mode is, we know how to find it, but, who cares? Why does this even matter? Well, let's get into what makes it such a handy little tool.
So the mode has some really awesome advantages. For one, it's super quick and easy to figure out. But, crucially, it's not bothered by extreme scores, what we call outliers. Think about it. If a billionaire walks into a room, the average salary skyrockets, right? But the mode, it doesn't even flinch. And here's its real superpower. It's the only one of these tools you can use for non-numerical stuff, like t-shirt sizes or favorite colors. Now, its main downside is that sometimes the most common thing isn't the whole story. Imagine in a small town, 30% of people drive trucks, but the other 70% drive 10 different kinds of cars. The mode would be truck, but that doesn't really tell you what most people are driving, does it?
Okay, you've seen how it all works. You feeling confident? Let's do a quick test and see if you've got this down.
First up, true or false? The mode is not affected by extreme scores. What do you think?
That is absolutely true. Remember, the mode is all about frequency, the count of how many times something appears. It couldn't care less how high or low the other numbers are.
Okay, next one. Take a good look at this list of numbers. What's the mode here? Just scan through them, look for any repeats.
Yup, if you spotted the 15, you nailed it. It's the only number in that whole list that shows up more than once. Nice job.
All right, last question, and this one's a little bit of a brain teaser. You've got 4 students, 2 female, 2 male. What's the mode?
So this was kind of a trick question. The answer is the mode does not exist. Because both female and male show up an equal number of times, it's a perfect tie. And if there's no single most frequent value, well then there's no mode.
And that's a wrap. But here's one last thing to think about as you go about your day. Now that you know what it is, what's the mode of your daily routine? Is it drinking coffee? Checking your phone? It's kind of wild when you think about it. you're already using the mode to figure out your own life. Thanks for tuning in.